the first sign shall appear in the heavens. Justice shall fall upon the world of men.
What is the real reason the forces of the high heavens have been so ineffective during the Diablo franchise, leading to their direct defeat in Diablo III? And why was Tyrael, the questionable decision-making mortal, the right choice to become the aspect of wisdom?
I will now stand as wisdom.
One valid critique that has been made about my Idiots vs. Geniuses series was that angels in the forces of light always seem to make mistake after costly mistake, making them little more than a mockery versus the forces of hell. After doing further research, I believe I've found a sound reason why this is versus poor writing, and it actually makes perfect sense. With all roads pointing not to the wrath of Imperius, nor the soft touch of Tyrael, but to the former aspect of wisdom, Malthael himself.
Malthael.
So here is why I believe that Malthael is to blame directly for the downfall of heaven in the Diablo series, and why Tyrael was the right choice to replace him, and what it means for Diablo IV.
Led by the Angiras Council, their unity made them an indomitable force for light and righteousness.
Prior to the release of Diablo III, Blizzard dropped a one-off anime short titled Wrath, narrated by Deckard Cain, and it showcased the short story about the eternal conflict, giving audiences their first glimpse of the endless battle of the forces of heaven versus the burning hells. One of the key features of this scene was that it also displayed the awesome prowess of the Angiras Council fighting as a finely tuned unit. At the culmination of said battle, the Archangel of Valor, Imperius, corners the Lord of Terror Diablo in a 1v1 fight. However, Diablo openly mocks Imperius and his hidden wrath and pushes him to defy the council at large by killing the Lord of Terror instead of taking him prisoner, at the behest of his brethren. There are a few meta-story elements that can be gleaned from this encounter. One, the angels in the Diablo universe are nigh unstoppable only as a seamless unit, and two, their corruption or dissonance between them can have dire results. Now, at a glance, most folks thought that this was just the setup for Imperius to further drive a wedge between himself and the rest of the council and sink into his wrathful ways by the events of Diablo III, unable to adapt to Hell's forces when they stormed heaven. Diablo, of course, spending the years in between leveraging Sanctuary to help bolster his powers, and in turn having Imperius woefully outmatched when they next encounter, with Diablo becoming the prime evil. Now, all of these elements are true, and I will be covering why I don't believe Imperius' Wrath arc is fully finished in an upcoming video. However, it should be noted that it was Malthael, not Imperius, who led the Angiras Council during the Wrath cinematic. After the World Stone was stolen by the rogue angel Inarius and demon Lilith, the artifact each side fought for was endlessly won and relinquished during the eternal conflict. At the culmination of the Sin War, after seeing the Nephilim Uldyssian sacrifice himself to banish heaven and hell from Sanctuary, the Angiras Council voted to either destroy or spare humanity. Malthael abstained from voting during the council's meeting. He literally could have destroyed humanity then and there, instead of his botched attempt during Reaper of Souls. But why didn't he? Well, some could say his lack of wisdom, as Deckard Cain theorized that the creation of humanity and the Nephilim was the impetus for his downfall, as his chalice of wisdom, which was filled with the unending living light that shows him the web of connectivity that binds all things as one. However, something out of that scope seems to be the newly formed Nephilim. Coupled with the fact that Itheriel, the Angel of Fate's own Scroll of Fate, cannot see the outcome of the Nephilim. It paints a clear picture that the Nephilim's existence threw a spanner in the ordering of angels and demons, with the demons choosing to adapt and the angels, who represent stasis, were stuck in a bind. So why don't angels just adapt like Tyrael did? Well, there are two parts to that answer. One comes from the guardian dragon of Sanctuary, Dragul, who states, "A world where dark rules would just burn itself up, and a world where light commands will eventually stagnate. If either gained enough control of Sanctuary so that the other could not match it, then this would be the end of all things." So angels were created to represent stasis, and the dark is representing change. But because of the change that happened with Sanctuary, it was easier for the demons to adapt to this. Angels thought themselves to be born perfect and don't need to become any more than they already are, as stated by Tyrael, who says,
Of the many things I find intriguing about humans, the greatest is their endless thirst for knowledge. Angels believe that everything there is to know is written in the scroll of fate. Therefore, curiosity is not a common angelic trait. Ironically, my suspicions have been confirmed. Angels do not, in fact, know everything. Seeing the world through mortal eyes has given me much to ponder.
So from here it's easy to see why each angel reacts as they do during the events of Diablo 3. However, Malthael, when the Worldstone is destroyed, becomes maddened, literally, and eventually leaves heaven and ends up discerning, like always, that all demons must die. Humans, unfortunately, have demon in them, so to end the eternal conflict, he still has to kill all demons, which includes humanity.
I heard a sound and did not know what it was. I sought wisdom in the chalice, but there was none. The humans are corrupt and are not worthy of the choice between good and evil. All paths lead to death.
Although he has adapted somewhat at this point, there are two vital revelations to be had. One, the Worldstone was tied to Sanctuary and all living things when Uldyssian sacrificed himself. So if Malthael was peering into his chalice and the Worldstone exploded, he would have felt the connectivity of all things be disrupted in such a profound manner. Perhaps that is the reason why it turned him insane. Two, I believe this is the reason why Malthael gutted Heaven's ability to defend itself come Diablo 3. Never before had Heaven been obliterated so profoundly than during the events of Diablo 3. Although the greater evils had made it to the Heaven's gates prior, infighting stopped their total triumph over Heaven. As stated before, where dark rules, it will burn itself up. Basically, the primevals bickered over the spoils of Heaven before they could even get in there. This is their nature. But why was Heaven then so susceptible to attack? Well, the answer is, we saw in the Wrath cinematic, and that's the lack of unity. Angels representing the 5 aspects of Anu only work together in total harmony. Angels can only be brought back from the brink in total harmony in heaven. And as shown when the Archangel of Hope, Auriel, is captured, it said, hope is lost. More interesting, it's shown to have a profound effect on Tyrael, as he states.
The diamond gates have stood since the light first broke over the high heavens. Now they lie in ruins. Imperius is right. I am the cause of this.
You didn't destroy those gates.
Yet I defended humanity when Imperius would have destroyed it. And now the primeval storms heaven itself.
This is not the time for doubt and weakness, Tyrael. Imperius is a fool, and if you side with him against me, you are too.
But you don't understand. Hope has been silenced.
Dire tidings indeed.
However, after regaining his composure, he then also notes that unity has been regained. So, Due to Malthael's disappearance, wisdom has been gone since the end of Diablo II, hence why Imperius has taken over the Angelus Council and his general idiocy is at an all-time high, and why the angels, since the Nephilim's creation and during the events of Diablo III especially, cannot find their footing and make costly mistake after costly mistake. If there are 5 aspects which are of virtue and they cannot access wisdom, they literally are fighting a blind battle and making these costly mistakes because, as we saw when hope was lost, if one of the aspects is lost, it's like fighting with a limb cut off. They lose their access to that ability almost completely. Now, I also believe this is why Tyrael became the aspect of wisdom, or was chosen by heaven to do so. Wisdom needs the mortal touch to be viable. It needs to be able to adapt. Tyrael only experienced these new things like curiosity that he did not experience as an angel when he became mortal. Now, obviously, this was baffling to me when I first saw the end of Diablo 3, but now it makes so much more sense. Unfortunately, though, I do believe that Tyrael has died just before the events of Diablo 4, which I will cover in an upcoming video, and with the reasons stated above, it's no wonder why heaven would close its gates. Number 1, they would be forced to regroup, and angels are only brought to life through light song, which needs harmony in heaven to create. Number 2, if they lose 2 more aspects with Tyrael gone, being that of justice and wisdom, without justice, maybe Imperius's wrath has come back in full effect, and he has heaven on lockdown like a dictator that would be mostly unchecked without the pesky aspects of wisdom or justice to hold him back. It's also odd to postulate that angels may be better off as mortals, and the age of demons and angels may be coming to an end. But that is a video for another day. Let me know what you think of the conclusion of this video in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, it helps out the channel immeasurably, and hit the bell. Thanks for watching, and until next time, traveler.